Hello, everybody.
Hello, dearest teacher Sumati. Thank you for being with us.
You're welcome. I changed my mind about what we're going to do today, so maybe a little bit disjointed, and we'll go over a lot of this in greater detail, but let's go ahead and do the mandala. So please make the mudra. Here is the great earth filled with the smell of incense, covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, the four continents, wearing a jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratnam Mandalakam Niratayame. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom. May I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom. May I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom, I will attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. Okay, let's do our rejoicing. Walls here. Jackie, let's start with you.
Thank you, dearest Lama Sumati and dearest friends. Rejoicing that I'm doing a bit of a pre-clean for the house to make it more beautiful and kind to be in the condition that it should be, because it is someone else's home that needs to be returned to them. And being as gentle and kind as I can to the bugs, making sure that I can try to save the bugs the best way that I can. And it's not easy, but I keep trying. And doing things like helping with redirecting mail as well, so that family mail will now go to the new home and everything will be as peaceful as possible and harmonious, and helping to make sure that all these many tasks as we transition between houses get achieved. Thank you.
Excellent. That's the way to generate the karma you'll need and want in the future to be able to transition like that yourself. So, and you're doing it for some very powerful karmic objects. So that's all the better. Very good. Keep at it. Hang in there.
Yeah.
It's worth every minute. The power of the karma you're generating is enormous. So very good. Okay, Katya, what do you have to rejoice
in? I rejoice that I start helping the ACI Tech with the recordings of some classes, and I am very happy with that, so I can have more teachings in the future.
Good. You said ACI 6?
Huh?
You said ACI 6?
No,
Yeah.
the ACI classes, courses, the DILAM and some courses.
Oh, very good. That's powerful too. Excellent. Okay, Sheila.
I rejoice that yesterday we finished the ACI 3 course of the meditation practice with Lama Sarani. And then today I just finished my final exam and I don't postpone. I did it and I'm very happy.
Very good.
Mhm.
Very good. I'm proud of you. That's what you should do. Get it done and get it turned in. And oh, I'm really happy for you. That's exquisite. Very
Thank
good.
you. Thank you for
Okay.
inspiring me. Inspire me.
Natalia, what do you have to rejoice in?
Okay, I cleaned the house. What else? I had a class today for with my students. We set goals for the new year because tomorrow is the Chinese New Year, the 10th, February the 10th, and it's a new moon, so it's good for setting goals. And I did a sojourn practice today. I burned my bed seats.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Let's see who's next. Claire, what do you have to rejoice in?
Hello. I would like to rejoice that I had a call with my mom and I sent her a gift for Lunar New Year. And I rejoice that I have this opportunity to talk with my mom and make her happier and dedicate these seeds that I can further help her and other people.
Very good. Okay, Becky, how about you? What do you have to rejoice in? Well, hi. Good to see you. Okay. Yevgeny, what do you have to rejoice in? I don't have the translation on my, there it is, interpretation. Okay.
Я бы хотел сегодня порадоваться тому, что совсем недавно я рассказал про ручку 2 людям, которые вообще никогда не слышали историю про ручку. И они вообще не знают, что такое буддизм, что такое ручка. И самое главное в том, что это их заинтересовало, и смог им это продать, им стало интересно, и они сказали, я попробую. Мне кажется, это самая главная радость, которая произошла за последние 2 недели для меня.
Very good. That's huge as you're able to entice them into studying more. That's very powerful. Very powerful. Okay. What do I have to rejoice in? Well, I don't know. Well, we had lunch today and discussed the next steps for I've set up a foundation along with several other friends to support a school in Nepal. And we're trying to figure out how to get funding to help them build the winter school. Did I just discuss this already with you guys? Oh, okay. There's a school in the valley, Rawling Valley, which is on the way to Mount Everest. And they have a school, but it's at a high elevation. And in the winter, they have to close it down. And the students go home and often don't come back the next spring. So we're trying to raise money to build a winter school at a lower elevation. And during the winter, they'll use it for school. And during the summer, when the students are at the higher elevation school, they will use the winter school as a trekking waypoint for people going up to Mount Everest as a way to generate some money. And also they'll have a clinic there. So then we need to raise money for them. And that's what we're trying to do. But we aren't professional fundraisers. So we're trying to team with the junior college that's here in Tucson, Pima Community College, and have her be a sister school for this school at Rawaling Valley. So we're just setting up the process now, and we'll be writing grants and raising money. And so I'm looking forward to making that happen. So I rejoice in the ability to have the time to do that and then the desire to do that, because that's what's going to set the future for me and my future to have the teachings I need. So it's really powerful. I'm very happy with doing that. Okay. Well, today we're going to do a meditation called Tonglen meditation, which means giving and taking. And it's important to remember that this is a meditation. You're not physically taking on someone else's suffering. We're using this to develop compassion, the great compassion necessary to really develop our desire to become a bodhisattva. Now, we haven't talked much about this yet, but we're going to in our review of the Lam Rim. So I'm going to just kind of bring us up to speed, knowing that we're going to discuss all of this in much greater detail. So what is a bodhisattva? Anybody tell me? Go ahead, Jackie.
I would say wishing to take care of others, to see that others are free, and to take upon myself to look after others and support others.
Right. Technically, bodhisattva is someone who has bodhicitta, and bodhicitta is the wish for enlightenment. Now, through the ACI courses, they use the wish for enlightenment, bodhicitta, in two ways. One is simply bodhicitta, the desire to become enlightened, and the other is Mahayana bodhicitta, which is a desire to become enlightened for the benefit of all living beings. Now, there's a difference. The bodhicitta, just to become enlightened, would refer to nirvana, which is the enlightenment, in quotes, for self-made Buddhas and listeners. Mahayana bodhicitta is the bodhicitta to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all living beings, not just yourself. So when we use the term, I like to preface bodhicitta, we're talking about Mahayana bodhicitta, and not just say bodhicitta. That's just a pet peeve of mine, because the bodhicitta of a listener or self-made Buddha, as I said, is reaching nirvana, which isn't total Buddhahood. You see in the student notes and in the classes, we talk about total enlightenment instead of just enlightenment. And I always wondered, I thought there was just enlightenment. I didn't realize there were various flavors of enlightenment. So this is where the enlightenment that is nirvana isn't true and total enlightenment. The only way to get total enlightenment is the Mahayana bodhicitta, which is a desire to reach Buddhahood for the sake of all living beings, not just yourself. So bodhisattvas take the bodhisattva vows, let me back up. Bodhicitta is the wish to achieve enlightenment. You can take that in the form of a wish, thinking how nice it would be to be a bodhisattva and to have bodhicitta, or you can take it in the form of action, where you actually take the Bodhisattva vows and work hard to develop Mahayana bodhicitta. So the Bodhisattva vows consist of 18 root vows and 46 secondary vows. We're not going to go into greater detail now. We do so later in the Lam Rim. This meditation I'm going to discuss with you works whether you have the Bodhisattva vows or not. So to do a proper meditation, there's a series of steps. We haven't discussed those yet, but I'm just going to introduce you to the 7 preliminaries, which you should always do before a meditation. So the short form, and I'll send all this to you. I'll send the meditation text to you so you can practice it between now and next class, next Friday. So this is the short form. With my body, speech, and mind, humbly I prostrate. I make offerings both set out and imagined. I confess my wrong deeds from all time and rejoice in the virtues of all. Please stay until samsara ceases and turn the wheel of Dharma for us. I dedicate all virtues to the great enlightenment. That's also called the 7-limb prayer. The 7-step preliminaries. So let's just discuss each aspect of that briefly. In this case, the prostration is mental. You've already closed your eyes. You're in meditation posture. You envision your root Lama or someone you have great respect for in front of you at about eye level in a full-length prostration away. This is a mental prostration, so you mentally prostrate to them 3 times. And you're paying homage to your Lama for all their good qualities and their teaching the Dharma so sweetly to you. So, my body, speech, and mind humbly I prostrate. I make offerings, offer mentally. The best is to practice what they teach. I make offerings both set out and imagined. It could be a beautiful sunset, a beautiful painting, flowers to fill the sky, mountain views, lots of things. Personally, the highest offering a student can give me is a demonstration that they're practicing what I'm teaching them. I confess my wrong deeds from all time. So in order for this meditation to work, in order to become a bodhisattva, you need to clear away all the obstacles to, in this case, meditation or progressing along the path. So this is where we confess our wrong deeds from all time. This consists of the purification process, the 4 powers of purification. So in English, I refer to these as the 4 R's because we talk about refuge, regret, restraint, and remedy. The 4 powers of purification, what you do is you remind yourself of your foundation. The very thing that makes you a Buddhist, the first thing, the minimum thing to make you a Buddhist is to take refuge and have the 12 refuge commitments. That's the foundation. When you've done something wrong and you're going to confess it, you need to have a foundation to stand upon and bring about the purification process. So that's refuge. That's your protection from all the bad deeds you could do or have done so that you can generate the goodness necessary to reach total enlightenment. So you take refuge and then you regret the wrong deed. The only mental affliction you can have that's good is regret. It's not guilt. You regret what you did because you know it's going to generate an unhappy karmic seed ripening in the future. You're not guilty. It's very important to not feel guilt. This is regret. It's the regret, intelligent regret of an educated Buddhist. You know what you did. You slapped and killed a mosquito when you know you shouldn't have. So you do the 4 powers to kill that seed. So you regret killing because you know in the future it's going to ripen as someone, either you being killed or someone you love being killed. Then restraint. So in the case of killing the mosquito, you would select a time frame where you would try very hard not to do that same deed. So perhaps you'd say, if you're in an environment with lots of mosquitoes, you would say, I'm not going to kill another mosquito for an hour or 4 hours or a day. The important thing is to make the restraint reasonable. You wouldn't say, I'm never going to kill another mosquito ever, because if you do kill one, then that was a lie. You're lying to yourself, and you're lying about something very important. So it doesn't mean don't give yourself a time frame. It means give yourself a reasonable time frame. So that might be a day, might be an hour. For me, back when I was driving, well, even as I'm a passenger, I've tried very hard now, and I've actually succeeded in this. I used to get pretty upset when I would have someone driving slowly in front of me, pass them and find out they were on their cell phone or a tablet texting. I don't know how people think they can text while they're driving. Actually, I have an app on my phone. Our insurance company has this app called True Lane, and it senses when you're driving using the GPS and Google Maps. It senses when you're driving, and it monitors your cell phone use. So as a passenger, I've got to tell it I'm a passenger. Otherwise, if I use my cell phone while we're driving somewhere, we get a lower score because the computer thinks I'm driving, I'm using my cell phone. That's a big problem. So I get demerits in my driving. So how do we take care of that? Well, the software has a little icon that you press, and it opens up an array of different scenarios. And I just punch passenger, and that eliminates any of my driving errors, going too fast, braking too quickly, cornering too fast, whatever. It eliminates that so that I'm not dinged for something I didn't do. And then remedy. So you have refuge, regret, restraint, and remedy. Remedy would be the action you're going to take to make up for the fact that you did something stupid or wrong. The remedy, most powerful remedy, is studying emptiness. You could also make satsas, which are plaster of Paris, molded plaster of Paris images of a variety of deities. But emptiness, or you can draw, create tankas. You can recite mantras, recite the holy names. That's what the 35, I think it's 35 medicine Buddha recitation is. But emptiness, studying emptiness is the most powerful remedy. So, with my body, speech, and mind, humbly I prostrate. I make offerings both set out and imagine. I confess my wrong deeds from all time. Now we do rejoicing. And here you want to rejoice in something specifically you've done or something specifically you saw somebody else do. We'll get into rejoicing in greater detail, but it's important to find something you've done and make it different each time, each day. Something you've done that's, as my wife calls it, a rejoiceable. What's an example? Oh, this morning I didn't get as mad as I sometimes do when I was shaving, because it's difficult to shave with Parkinson's. And usually I get frustrated and say some swear words that I won't repeat. And today I started doing that, and I stopped and I said, Sumati, this is getting you nowhere. In fact, it's getting you lesser and lesser, more closer and closer to a bad rebirth. So you've got to stop the drift toward lower rebirth and stay where you want to be. Rejoice in the virtues of all, so you can rejoice in others' goodness. And we'll be talking about the concept of rejoicing in much greater detail. Please stay until samsara ceases. The next preliminary is asking the teachers to stay for a long, long time. You have to keep asking teachers to stay. You're using up tremendous amounts of karma having teachers teach. And so you need to ask them to stay. Please stay until samsara ceases and turn the wheel of Dharma for us. We'll be talking about the wheel of Dharma down the road. There were 3 groups of teaching on emptiness, and they're called the first, second, and third turning of the wheel. Then you want to dedicate all virtues to the great enlightenment. So you want to dedicate the virtues of the meditation you're about to do for the benefit of all beings. So that's the 4 powers of purification and the rest of the 7 preliminaries in short form. Okay. Here we go. So get comfortable. Close your eyes. If you have to sneeze or cough or blow your nose, scratch and itch, I want you to try very hard to stay still for the entire meditation. Okay. Now watch your breath. Try to focus your attention on your breath for 10 breaths. If you get distracted, go back and start again. Now visualize you're sitting in a cabin perched on the side of a mountain. The room you're in is your gompa, your meditation room. There's a large picture window, and there's a beam of sunlight shining through the window, illuminating you. The temperature is perfect. Now visualize your Lama, if you have one, or someone you greatly respect, is sitting in front of you. You can feel the warmth radiating from their body. Now we're going to do the preliminaries. With my body, speech, and mind, humbly I prostrate. So you make 3 mental prostrations. I make offerings, both set out and imagined. To offer them beautiful music, their favorite food, or you can offer them your practice. I confess my wrong deeds from all time. Pick something you did wrong in the last 24 hours. Be specific. Replay the video. And then do the 4 powers of purification. The first power is taking refuge, giving yourself a foundation to stand up on and do what's necessary to purify the wrong deed. Next, generate regret. You know that what you did is a movement of the mind, creating a karmic seed that's going to ripen in the future, unless you do the 4 powers. So this is the impetus to do the 4 powers. Then restraint. This is where you promise not to do this particular deed again in a certain time frame, making sure the time frame you select is one you can keep. So back when I used to get upset with people using their cell phones or tablets when they were driving, I would say, I'm going to try very hard not to get mad the next trip I take in the car. So for the entire trip, I try not to get mad. I wouldn't say I'm never going to get mad again, because I know that's I'm still working on it. Now I'm more prone to getting mad at my frustrations due to Parkinson's. So I've got to really be on top of my game, not to reflexively get mad. And that's tough for me, because the simplest of things that are now becoming a problem, tying my shoes, getting dressed, putting on a coat, all these things can get to be very frustrating. But it's a wonderful way for me to practice. So my restraint is to not get mad at myself. Then the remedy for this frustration is, I know where this frustration is coming from. It's the inconvenience that I did to other people in the past, is now ripening as inconvenience for me. So my remedy is to remember the past is the present is the future. It's not my karma, but it's my karma, so. And remembering the how and the why. The next preliminary is to rejoice in the virtues of all. Think of something good you did today. Replay that video in your mind and rejoice that you did something that's going to generate a good result in the future. You can also rejoice in what you saw somebody else do, because you can generate a vast amount of merit doing that. And we'll talk about that down the road. Then ask your teachers to stay. Please stay until samsara ceases and turn the wheel of Dharma for us. It's very important that you continue to ask your teachers to stay. And dedicate this virtue so that all sentient beings you can reach total enlightenment for the benefit of all living beings. Now for the meditation. Now, at some point during the meditation, I'm going to stop and describe something that's going to happen. So don't open your eyes until I tell you to. I want you to think of a specific person that you want to help, but feel incapable of doing so. For me, it's a good friend that has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Imagine you're sitting in a room with them, but they can't see you. For me, my friend Monty is sitting in the waiting room for a doctor's appointment to see if his illness is progressing. He can't see me, but I can see him. Now imagine a little red rose sitting in the area where your heart is, actually just behind it, close to your spine, your central channel. Now imagine a diamond inside the rose. The diamond is sparkling. It's exquisite, as is the rose. The rose represents your love and compassion for this person, the thing in you that makes you sad when you think of their suffering. The diamond represents wisdom and your understanding of emptiness, which makes you see where their suffering is coming from in the first place. Make the diamond and rose as small as you possibly can. Now look at whomever you have chosen. Imagine you can see inside their body and that their pain is manifesting inside their body like black goo. You really want to remove this black goo from them. Using your breath, as you breathe in, you're going to start to draw all the gunk from them. Breathing through your mouth, draw the black gunk from their fingers and toes up to their ankles and wrists, past their shoulders and hips, up to just behind the heart. So again, from their fingers and toes up to their ankles, wrists past the shoulders and hips, down to the heart, down from their head past the neck, collect it all at your heart. I'm going to describe now what you're going to do with this black goo, but don't do it until I tell you to. You're going to draw all the black gunk into yourself. It's going to come down from their body, and on your breath, it'll go in through your mouth and then go drop down to the rose and diamond at your heart. When it hits the diamond, there'll be a huge flash, and the black gunk is completely destroyed. None of it resides in you. Okay. I'm going to count to 3 and then say go. And that'll be your key for doing the breath work to pull it out of their body and bring it to your body and destroy it. So 3, 2, 1, go. The gunk is destroyed in a flash of light, and your body is filled with amazing golden light. And you look at your friend, and he has, and in my case, he has an excellent report from his doctor. He attributes this to the change in his diet. He has no idea why the change has happened. So that was the taking part. Now we're going to do the giving part, because the Tonglen meditation, you take the suffering from the being, and now the giving part is to create joy for this being. So now say to yourself, what can I give this person, this being, to make them totally happy? It could be they need a new car. It could be they need money to help with their health care. It could be hoping, wishing, praying that they'll live long enough to see their children graduate from college. Anything that would make them happy. Now come back to seeing your holy person in front of you. Shrink them down to about 1 millimeter in size. Bring them to the top of your head and turn them facing the same direction you are. Then they sink down your central channel to your heart, and stay with you the rest of the day. Okay, you can open your eyes. That was a 18-minute meditation. So good job.
Thank you
I
so
will
much.
send you a copy of this. I'd like you to try doing it between now and next Friday. If you can do it for longer than 18 minutes, that's great. If it's shorter, that's okay. This is one very powerful meditation for generating the compassion necessary for bodhicitta to work, the great compassion for bodhicitta to work. That's about it for today. I was expecting some questions. Either I'm confusing everybody or I'm teaching it so cleanly that there are no questions. I kind of believe I'm not doing that. Maybe I am.
Becky has a question.
How do you draw the goo from them? You're breathing, you're taking them on the breath. So what you do is you breathe in, and that draws the black gunk. Well, first you visualize the black gunk being drawn from their feet and their hands, through their wrists and their ankles, up past their hips and shoulders, down from the head into the neck area. Then you visualize that all condensing near their heart. And then you start to breathe in. And as you breathe in, the gunk comes out from their heart. It's drawn into you. You draw it down to near the diamond, and then it contacts the diamond and bursts into white light. And you've now destroyed that. So you can do that multiple times to get every last drop of the blackness, the black goo, the obstacles to their enlightenment, the pain that's being caused, that's causing their pain. And you destroy it in your heart at the diamond. It's important, it's very important to realize that you're not taking on their illness. We had a very learned friend, Theosophist, who refused to do Tonglen because she thought she was taking on their cancer. You're not taking on, you can't have their karma for having cancer. So this is a way to develop, try to see how you can develop the compassion necessary to think of others first. In order for you to develop bodhicitta, you need to find some way to take on, well, not to take on, to be aware of other people's suffering. You could take the suffering of the Ukraine situation. You could take the suffering of Yemen, the Houthis launching. Think of the karma as being developed by the combatants in the Ukraine and Yemen. Think of the suffering they're going to undergo because of the killing and try and take that from them. Will you take it from them? Can you really take it from them? If you can become enlightened, you can teach them how not to do those kind of deeds and help them become enlightened. But to do that, you need vast stores of compassion. And the only way one of the only ways, well, I shouldn't say one of the ways to develop the compassion is to try and take their suffering and destroy it. And that's what this meditation's for. So try doing it at least once a day. The preliminaries are very important for a meditation to work. So I will give you I'll include the short form of the preliminaries when I send you the actual meditation. Now there are I think I'll leave the marks showing how long to meditate at each. No, I'll leave them on. If it says 02 to -04, that means from 2 minutes to 4 minutes, you should be thinking that particular part of the meditation. Don't worry about the absolute time. What I would suggest you do is set a timer, set your phone, start a stopwatch function on your phone when you start the sit. Don't look at it until you're done. And see if you can make the meditation last 15 to 20 minutes. If you can't, that's okay. But see if you can lengthen it. The important thing is not how long you do it. It's more important that you do it cleanly and powerfully. If you do 5 minutes because you're racing through it, but you don't lose the object, that's better than taking 15 minutes and finding out you spent most of the time thinking about what you're going to have for breakfast. I think you'll find this is a elegant meditation to develop your meditative skills. I think it is. Okay.
May I ask a
Next.
question, please,
Sure.
dearest Lama Sumati? Thank you. And my question relates to a community environment. If we want to take on the care and say that I'll take on all the dishes, I realize sometimes that it shows and sets the example, but also how we can nourish the opportunity for others to recognize that rather than my dishes, your dishes, to try and help to make it possible for seeing that we can just take it on and do all things together. How you can create subtle ways of doing that.
Well, the fact that they don't appreciate it now is coming from your misdeed in the past of not appreciating other people's efforts. So you need to go out of your way to appreciate others helping you. That's going to set the seeds for the future to have you get the help you need. So do the dishes, do the cleaning, whatever the task is, knowing that if you do it with joy and happiness, knowing that that's setting the seed, doing it with wisdom instead of drudgery. Oh, I've got to do the dishes. No one's doing them. Aren't they ever going to do them? Why don't they see I'm doing the dishes and help me? That's just going to perpetuate you're not getting the help you need. On the other hand, if you do them joyfully and offer to do the dishes, don't worry, I'll do the dishes. At some point down the road, and it may take a long time, and this is where you can't get discouraged. At some point, someone's going to say, well, let me help. And then you say, well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. And let them help you. The tendency is to say, no, I don't need any help. And if you say that enough times, you're probably going to have the karma. I have the karma for people to go, well, if you don't need help, I'm going to stop offering. So encourage them to help you, but take on the task joyfully. You'll feel like you're being used, but they're not using you. You're having the karma to see them using you. Because all of this is coming from your past deeds. If you can remember that and respond in a way to not perpetuate it by responding with joy and wisdom, you'll find out, especially for powerful karmic objects like your parents or a sibling, and you don't know who is a powerful karmic object. So the bottom line to me is you treat everybody as a powerful karmic object. Then eventually, and that's the problem with karma. It may ripen in this lifetime or in the next lifetime or any lifetime after that. Does that help?
Thank you.
It's a...
May I have a question?
Sure.
For me, it's difficult. Thank you. For me, it's difficult to start the count of the breath with the exhalation. So can you give me a tip or why I have to start the count of the breath in the exhalation?
Well,
Exhale. So sorry.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It has to do with the secret teachings. So I can't really say much more than that. It has to do with working with your winds and channels. And I frankly don't know what the specific mechanism is. But what I do is I take a few breaths and then exhale and start counting. If I try and do it on my first breath after thinking about it, I can't. So 1, 2, 3, there's my exhale. 1, 2, like that. So breathe a couple of times and then say, okay, on the third breath, exhale. Inhale, there's breath 1. Then you're on the cycle and you can count pretty easily. I've been working on my breath now, and I'm down to 5 breaths a minute from 12 pretty easily. And I'm trying to get down to 3 or 4. That's going to take a little more work.
Thank you, Lama.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I really encourage you to do the meditation daily between now and Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good meditation to have in your toolbox. And exchanging self and others, giving and taking. It's a Tonglen practice. Any other questions, Jackie? Jackie?
Thank you. Only if no one else has other questions. I'll just see if there's anyone else that would like to ask a question first. Becky said that she would go after me. Okay, sure. So my other question is, have you ever experienced being almost told you're too kind? And how you can adapt and be flexible and be a bit more different to what others, I don't know how to say that, but have you ever come across that situation?
Well, I've been told by some people, it's kind of embarrassing, but I'll tell you anyway. I've had more than one student come up to me and say, I want to be just like you,
Oh.
which is very flattering, but it's a little scary. And I usually say, well, I'm nothing special. But here's what I'm trying to do. And I try and take on the responsibility. If no one else is doing something, I'll step in and do it. I've put in a water system for Diamond Mountain, and often that meant just going ahead and doing it because no one else was helping me. So I think or I'll say, someone would say, that's very nice of you. And I'd say, well, that's my job. And this one young lady said, will you just, one of these days, can you just say, you're welcome? And that struck a chord with me that I needed to be able to do that. So now I try and remember to say, you're welcome. Becky?
May I ask a question?
Sure, let me answer Becky's.
Oh, sorry.
Do we just think about the concept? I like to visualize the actual act just because it makes the meditation more powerful to me. It's important to think of the person as being there as vividly as you can. So I like to think of being in the waiting room and having the doctor come and say to Monty, the results are good. So that's my preference. Okay, Natalia?
Thank you very much, Sumati. I wanted to ask, because I listened to the same meditation from Geshe, and he's talking about not a rose and a diamond, but having a fire that is burning all bad deeds that I've done whenever I wasn't good in my heart, and then connecting this with the incoming whatever I want to dissolve from the other person. And is there a difference, you know?
No, it's probably just Geshe develops a different style depending on what he was teaching. What we've learned in courses from him often changes down the road. So if you have a fire, a fire, the bright flame at your heart instead of a diamond and a rose, it's a mechanism to destroy the black goo. I like the diamond and the rose because it reminds me of compassion and emptiness. But a flame works too. And what you're trying to do is destroy the goo from them and send out love and compassion.
Thank you. And another question would be the meaning. I'm trying to put together these pieces. So I mentioned somebody who is having a problem and I want to destroy their problem, but why don't I just pull it out and give it to Buddha imaginary in my mind, right, to destroy it? Or why do I need to take it in myself to destroy it? And if karma is not being destroyed, what actually is happening?
If karma is not being destroyed, what you're doing is, well, how can I put this? It's karma being destroyed. You're developing the desire to recognize others' suffering. So you can't destroy their karma because you can't take on their karma. That's the law, one of the laws of karma. So you're destroying, you're developing compassion by destroying the insensitivity to their problem. You're recognizing what's making them suffer, and you're trying to remove it, knowing that that's going to generate in your future some destroying the kind of things that upset you. So when I'm talking about Monty, I'm not curing him because I can't do that. But I am developing the compassion to, instead, when next time Monty calls and says something about his illness, instead of my immediately responding with my illness, I ask how he's doing so that he can feel that someone else is caring for him. And that can hopefully give him peace of mind.
Thank you.
Could we say that we're changing the seeds, the way we see something, changing that experience?
Well, yeah, you're like I said, what you're doing, this practice is to help you develop compassion, the kind of compassion and gain merit, gain virtue, the kind of compassion that makes you aware of and want to do something about the suffering in this world. Instead of saying Monty has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, I'm sad about that. You're saying Monty has Hodgkin's lymphoma. I'm sad that I have the karma to see that. So I'm going to work on developing the compassion necessary, that I won't ignore the suffering of somebody else and generate the kind of karma that perpetuates seeing suffering. So what I'm doing is stopping causing other people's suffering. Because that's what's causing me to see Monty's suffering, is in the past I've caused someone pain or discomfort. So I need to stop doing that. And the way to stop doing that is to have compassion for their plight. So for instance, for Monty, I could email him and ask him how he's doing, and is there anything I can do to help? And sincerely ask that. The thing is, what we need to do is, if we're going to ask, for instance, you ask what you could do to help. If they answer, you could do this or that to help, you need to be ready to do that. Don't ask if there's anything you can do and then say, well, I really can't do that. So if you say, do you need some help financially? And they say, yeah, I could use a little bit of money. Then it behooves you to send them some. Now, if they say they want $100,000 and you don't have $100,000, obviously you can't send them that much money, but you can send what you can. That's again where you want to be careful what you ask.
I wish to share, if it's okay to mention, that I wish to see that everyone can help anyone in their life to be able to let go of things, as I feel it's one of the greatest gifts that we can give to someone, because it can really create a lot of strain by just having too much stuff and leaving families behind with things. But that potential, I really wish to say that and inspire others to, even for starting from ourselves, to get rid of any little thing that we can, just a piece of paper or whatever it might be, so that we create the example, we set the habits, and then it becomes easier to help others to very gradually do the same. As
Well,
bring
yeah,
a whole to the whole process.
what we need to remember is, in your specific case, Jackie, you're seeing what the problem, because in the past, you caused that problem for somebody else. So the best, like you're saying, the best way to get past that is to be sure not to collect things unnecessarily. And that's where you've gone through your household and gotten rid of a lot of things. With the wisdom of knowing in the future, you won't have that problem manifest by other people having all kinds of stuff. So the importance is to remember, it's very important to remember it's your karma ripening for having done that in the past. And now you need to set the example with wisdom in a wise way to not have that problem resurface. And it's not that you're blaming yourself. It's very important you don't see that you're blaming yourself. You're taking responsibility. And that's very different. Taking responsibility is a positive thing. Blaming yourself would be a negative thing. And that's not going to get you with the results you want. So let's, if there are no more questions, let's dedicate this meditative practice which ones do I want to use? May the source of benefit and goodness, the Dharma, spread and expand. May the beings upholding the Dharma have excellent health. May the source of happiness and well-being for all embodied beings, the Dharma taught by the Buddhas, always increase. May the merit of my life and my practice be for the benefit of all my students, and may we all reach the enlightened state of Guru Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, we'll see you on Tuesday afternoon, and have a great weekend. Go 49ers. Go Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, I know what I'm rejoicing. I have the best rejoicing ever. I have a friend in Amsterdam. Did I tell you guys this already? I'm starting to have memory problems. I have a student in Amsterdam, and her husband's American. She's South African, and her husband's American and is a 49ers fan. And in Amsterdam, he can't get the Super Bowl. So he was distraught because he couldn't get it. And it occurred to me, I can get it for free on the internet. So I'm going to do a Zoom with him and share my screen, and he'll be able to watch the game. I think that's pretty clever. It's morally correct because I'm watching, I'm not paying to watch it. Well, I'm paying for internet service, but it's not like I'm paying a premium channel and then letting him watch it with me. So I was pretty pleased with that. So I tried doing Zoom with a movie this afternoon before class just to see if it caused Zoom to freak out. And now the question is, will Zoom let me play Zoom for 4 hours? But if it doesn't, I'll just turn it off and start a new session. So that made me pretty happy. Made him really happy. But he's a 49er. I grew up a 49er fan. I'm also a Kansas City Chief fan. So it's a nice, I don't care who wins. Well, I do care, but it won't be like a terrible team that I don't like wins. Okay. Thank you. Enjoy the meditation. And I will send that to you in just a few minutes. I have to clean up my notes and I'll send that to you.
Thank you for the very beautiful meditation and your very soft, gentle voice. It's very soothing and comforting. Thank you so much.
You're
Dearest
welcome.
Lama.
Claire, will you stay on for a little bit? Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Afternoon. Thank you.